This video will cover just some random foreign power catches and a little bit of an explanation as to why we've been seeing them lately. Here we see NS-171 leaving Brooks Siding just west of Springfield heading westbound. Leading is an NS-SD-70 Ace, and second is a Union Pacific AC-44CW. Brooks is only capable of holding up to 80 car trains, but it's no problem for this one as he's only 23 cars. Now, there have been a lot of people saying that UP plans on buying Norfolk Southern if they go down the toilet. NS has had a lot of problems recently, but I don't think they're going to be going anywhere anytime soon. They are short on power recently, so that's why you probably have been seeing a lot of foreign power such as Union Pacific. Maybe it's because that UP charges NS less to lease their locomotives. Here's another example of UP on NS. A UP AC-45 CCTE trailing second on 170 as he crosses Oak Run Creek in London, Ohio. .170 is daily eastbound traffic between Chattanooga, Tennessee and Conway, Pennsylvania. The reason for seeing Union Pacific foreign power so much lately on Norfolk Southern is still a bit of a mystery. But I think it either has to come down to either NS being short on power themselves, especially with sending all their Dash 9s off to the rebuild program, and cutting up some of their older locomotives too. Another cool place to shoot foreign power is at Glade One Road just east of London. I'm set up here for a 178 heading eastbound with a UP AC-45 CCTE leading a long train, and surprisingly no DPUs this time. A really cool and intriguing sight for me on this train was all the new AOK Norfolk Southern gondolas. These can either carry scrap, metal, or others. I'm not really sure why, but I decided to get another look at 178, so I chased them all the way to Columbus at an old familiar spot, the west leg wide leading into Buckeye Yard, or at least what was Buckeye Yard. The yard was ripped out about a year or two ago, leaving CSX's Westbelt Yard on the east end of the yard. 178 is gliding under the signal bridge that governs the interlocking here. The signals on the east side of the signal bridge up there no longer govern any train movements. As of the time that this video was released, track and maintenance crews were working on removing whatever remained of the west leg completely out of the ground. Here's another look at these brand new NS gondolas. These are some of the cleanest that I have absolutely ever seen. It was a nice sight indeed, especially on 178. The track off right in front of me, or kind of over to the right, is Alton Siding. Cars used to be stored in there, but I believe it's down for maintenance, or NS could be preparing to rip out Alton Siding completely. UP has also been seen in an abundance on CSX as well, such as the example here as X331 heads westbound on the CSX Indy line through Marion, Ohio. He has a UP AC-45 CCTE in the 6th position, the train being led by CSX's 776 and 7777, with a kind of foam lash up, if you get what I'm saying. Most of the way forward power like UP ends up on other railroads is whenever they're tied to a unit train that comes off of their railroad. Such as an example, when a UP tank train goes to CSX, CSX will often leave the UP power on. They can take it off or use it for other jobs. CSX or NS will likely pay back UP with either cash or running some of their locomotives on UP's trains. On another day down at Maple Street in London, Ohio, we see 178 being led by a UP SD70 Ace heading east towards Columbus, Ohio. The train is not even about 100 cars today, but it was still a cool sight to see a UP Ace leader on NS. I counted about exactly 25 cars into the train, and midpoint was another UP, this one an ES44AC, though actually an AC45 CCTE. Sometimes foreign power can generate really cool lash-ups, even when NS is leading. Like an example here, as an NS AC44C6M leads 179 west at Glade Run with a CSX ES40DC second. It's kind of odd to see CSX down here on NS. Probably got into Bellevue after coming off an ethanol train in Conway. Probably the same thing for this BNSF ET44C4 as distributed power mid-train on 179. Here's another instance of CSX being on an NS train, as 171 heads westbound under the Conrail Tri-Lights and past the old NYC PRR interlocking. Two 944CWs with horseheads lead this train, a CSX ES44DC and an NS ET44AC4. Like the CSX we just saw before, this one probably came into Conway, Pennsylvania on an ethanol train, and CSX was probably taking it down south. Either that or just using it. NS will probably pay CSX back for horsepower hours, or they'll pay them with cash. Another way they could pay them is having CSX run a couple of Norfolk Southern's locomotives on their line on some of their own trains. Now we're going to a little bit of an unfamiliar territory. The INO's Midland sub, where not much really happens, especially north of Washington Courthouse heading on into Columbus. But during the winter, grain season is at its peak. You'll often see CSX power running on INO tracks with their grain trains. It's a lot cheaper to just leave the CSX power on to the destination rather than having to spend time putting INO power onto the grain train and taking the CSX power off and sending it somewhere else. Such as the example here. This grain train came loaded out of South Charleston a couple hours ago. If you noticed, the CSX 500 second has the sticker Spirit of Grafton on its nose. This isn't actually CSX running on it. I mean, it kind of is when you see the foreign power, but it's an INO crew operating the train. CSX gave it to the INO a few days ago. They took it to South Charleston to get it loaded, and now the I&O was bringing it back to CSX in Columbus. CSX would get the train later tonight and would take it to Parsons Yard in Columbus, where they either took it up north or they took it down south to North Carolina and on towards there. Another place on the I&O Midland sub is Cook's, just a little bit west of Mount Sterling. The railroad uses the timetables north and south. There used to be a grain silo here and a depot, but that's long gone. Sitting here today was another CSX loaded grain train waiting to go back to the CSX. CSX crew would come down here to Mount Sterling later in the night and grab the train and take it on into Parsons. Leading the train was a big AC-44CW still in YN2, number CSX 113. And second was CSX 5404 and ES44 DC. A strange sight sometimes is to see I&O Power hooked up with NS coming off of Norfolk Southern, such as the case here on this day at East Street in Springfield, Ohio. The I&O crew is using their own locomotives to help with the NS Power bring the grain train on the I&O, take it down to South Charleston to get loaded. They would bring it back here about another day or two, but that time using CSX Power. We weren't able to catch that move, unfortunately, but it was still a cool sight to see I&O and NS hooked up together. It's not every day you get to see that, but it's kind of common during the grain season. The I&O Power was available in I&O's Springfield Yard, about a mile or two east of here. The I&O crew decided to use that to go out to Enon to hook onto the grain train and bring it back through the back door here at 182. That's what I&O calls it. Even railroad fans call it that too. The grain train will go down to South Charleston and get loaded for the night and tomorrow, and then eventually about in a day or two will come back to NS loaded, so an NS crew can pick it up and take it on either west to Cincinnati or east to Columbus. We'll end the video off here at East Street again, but on another day we see I&O bringing a grain train to NS. They have authority to take it to Enon Siding off the back door in Springfield, and then the I&O crew will get off and taxi back to either Springfield or Washington Courthouse. An NS crew will come and get this train in about a day or two, sometimes maybe even a week. Today, the Power is a UP AC-44C6M, an NS ES-44DC, and another NS AC-44C6M. This is still kind of the same operation as we saw of that grain train, but the reverse way, as this one was loaded in South Charleston the other night, and is now coming back home to Norfolk Southern Rails. NS will take this train west onto Cincinnati and eventually down south back to either Kentucky or Tennessee for unloading. The train will probably go back somewhere else to get loaded. Track speed on the I&O's back door is about 10 to 15 miles an hour, but I have seen grain trains come out of here as fast as 20-25. Hit the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to me while you're at it. and hit the bell for when I post and upload new videos. At the old DT&I NYC Interchange Yard at East Street, CP 182 in Springfield, Ohio, I'm Jans Locomotive Works 8098, and I hope to see you guys again soon.